So my question to you is, I know that there's been a lot of things that have targeted hexagons that are built around Hex or on top of Hex. However, I don't want to be gatekeeping to things that may enhance user experience. And I would just like to know what your opinion might be on encapsulated stakes and their application in the future and how they may be valuable.
It's an experiment. So if the contract goes wrong, you lose all your money. If the contract doesn't go wrong, then you have the ability to encapsulate a stake and then sell it into a different liquidity pool, because you can't sell it on Uniswap where the majority of Hex liquidity is, because it doesn't accept encapsulated stakes. And so if you're willing to incur the counterparty risk, or rather smart contract risk, not counterparty risk, smart contract risk, maybe lightly counterparty based on how much you need a hosted front end, or if the front end is distributed or not, or if there's a guide written for the Etherscan write contract function. I look at, if it is the case that in order to encapsulate a stake, you have to buy the original thing first, and therefore the price moves up when you do so. And then it is the case that it reduces buy pressure in the future because it competes for new users. But those new users, you'll only ever be able to sell an encapsulated stake for less, because anyone else could just create their own stake from scratch. So they will never pay you a premium, never. So you're never, ever going to be able to sell an encapsulated stake at a premium ever. But you might be able to make a longer stake and then have the liquidity to sell it earlier, but into a different liquidity pool, so it acts like a bond. So it's an experiment. We don't know whether they're going to work out well or not. And, there is an encapsulated stake platform that's out there, but no one actually uses it. So that, they've had, I think, only maybe 4 or 5 instances of encapsulations ever, I think. Maybe there's been 7 total. And so we don't really know how it will turn out. If it is the case that it just increases the average stake length, and if it is the case that it doesn't introduce extra buy pressure because you had to buy in the first place, then it could be okay. And then if it's the case that it sucks, it could be possible to fix the suck by not mentioning it anymore. You know what I mean? And so I'm extremely conservative when I talk about things that people might invest in, because I don't want to be responsible if they get wrecked. And so, we've seen people target hexagons before. It has gone extremely terribly. We have also seen recently maybe stuff that isn't that terrible. Maybe, right? We don't know. I haven't even looked into the game theory that hard to know. Like, I don't know what the founder's take is. I don't know what the rate of inflation is. I don't know what the max supply is. These are parameters I don't know about. And so I can't speak to the potential price performance just because I'm not read up on it. And then there's the issue of, if you care about the hex ticker, the pulse ticker, the pulse X ticker, by what mechanic do those tickers go up if some other ticker goes up? And then if you can't find a mechanic which drives up the tickers hex, pulse, or pulse X when something else goes up, then the question becomes well, why would you care if that thing went up, right? Now but for something that's backed by hex, that mechanic might exist. So if something becomes valuable and you can arb that value down by creating more hex stakes, then there might be a value tie there. It's just that the game theory and mechanics behind that are untested. And so if people want to take that risk and find out about it on their own, feel free. But read the audits. I haven't. There's so many things that you really would need to look into. And from my perspective, I'm drowning in ticker symbols already. You're going to have hex on pulse, you're going to have hex on Ethereum, you're going to have pulse X, you're going to have pulse chain, you're going to have the incentive token. Probably some months after those come out, you'll have a token related to the MetaMask replacement. You're that's enough tickers, bro. For me, that's a lot of ticker symbols, man. Just drawing all them charts and bragging about them is going to be a relatively time-consuming job. So, I mean, I hope that answers your question. It's not knowable. Basically, the primary analysis really is what type of buy pressure exists from the value add, and is that buy pressure enough to cancel out possible modifications to the locking? And so, like, I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows, but maybe we'll find out, right?
Right.
It's an easier answer when you're on-ramping users from outside. If you're on-ramping, so for instance, Grayscale on-ramps users that would otherwise be alienated in an island and not have access to crypto exposure because they're locked in their 401ks and can only buy a certain type of security. And so Grayscale just buys crypto and never sells it and is only buy pressure from a place you weren't otherwise getting it. That's just pure win. Can't ask for more. And so in this encapsulated version, it's different because you're getting your users probably from the same place. And that's a big difference, you know? You asked me an extremely nuanced and complicated question. I hope you were satisfied with the answer.
Yeah, and I appreciate your answer. You know, it's totally fair to say it's unknowable, and I just appreciate you taking the time to hear me out on that. You know, me personally, I just like the ability to transfer wallets if needed. You know,
you won't like it if you get hacked. You're going to be very sad.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
that's true.
Right now, if someone gets hacked, now the hacker and the person that got hacked both have the keys, and they can fight for that stake when it might become valuable enough to end. But if you have encapsulated stakes and you get hacked, you're going to lose all that money instantly, and you're not going to have any ability to save yourself. So.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of depends on who's first to the punch. You know, can you beat, you know?
Well, people notice that they've been hacked when it's already too late. So the hacker will always be first to the punch.
Right. And
there's no way to be alerted before it happens.
Oh, yeah. And
good questions, man.